Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. Football season begins in just about 3 weeks. Don't sit in those old chairs for another fall season. Get rid of that couch that sits so low to the ground you need a rope to pull yourself out of it. Trust me, I have one of those. Make your TV room a real draw by picking out home theater seats at Games and Things. I got mine there. Love them. Games and Things. You can check them out online. OurGameRoom.com. Okay, this is going to be a quick segment, because it doesn't have to be long. It's a perfect plan. DeLoss Dodds, the former Texas athletic director, had this to say this week. Money will always dictate things, but it seems to me if there was an NFL-type thing, packaging TV rights all together, it would probably generate a lot more money and do a better job of putting people in geographical regions. All right, Chip Kelly this week, the coach at UCLA. I'd be for we're all in one division. Put 60 of us in the same division. Do it like the NFL where there's an NFC West, NFC South, NFC North. I think we should all be in. There should be one conference in all college football, and then just break it up like they do the professional game, based on geography. That makes the most sense. There's your travel question, all the other questions, but no one asks me. No, but I'll listen to him, and I'll put together an army and take over college football. I am the new college football czar. Here is my plan, and it's ridiculous how easy this is. Call it the Power Football Consortium, all right? Go back to just having all these teams control their own rights, and they do their own negotiations together, so where everybody makes the same. 73 teams. That's only 4 more Power 5 schools than you have now. 73 teams in what we call the Power Division. TV contracts negotiated by those 73 teams. Equal shares of the expanded revenue split equally. That's why there's equal shares. Just realized equal shares spread equally. Makes sense. I'm making it clear. But you get bonuses for playoff success, of course. Basically, you wind up with 8 conferences, 9 teams in each conference. Every season, it's a 12-game regular season schedule. 8 games are a permanent round-robin game with the other teams in your conference. You play everybody in your conference. 2 games are played against the other 7 conferences, so you're playing other power teams. 2 games against the remaining group of 5 FBS below you type teams. If you want to play FCS teams in my world, do it in spring. You don't do it in the regular season. Notre Dame remains an independent, but they must play 10 games against power teams just like everybody else. You expand the playoff to 16 teams. 8 conference champions receive bids. 8 at-large bids. Computer rankings decide the seedings. So what would it look like? There's your Pacific Division. These are all your divisions. Pacific Division. There are 4 schools here in total that have orange. Those are teams we've bumped up. San Diego State, Boise State, UConn, SMU, they're always talking about being bumped into the Power 5. Anyway, we just bumped them on up. Over there in the PAC, Pacific Conference, San Diego State has a red dot. That's because if you look at that division, that conference, Arizona, Arizona State, Oregon, Oregon State, UCLA, USC, Washington, and Washington State, they all played in the old Pac-10. That's old rivals. You're just throwing San Diego State in there. Old rivals getting back together. The Plains Conference. BYU and Utah have the red dots because they were never in the Southwest Conference. But Arkansas, Baylor, Houston, TCU, Texas, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech were. It's regional travel for your athletes, regional travel for your fams. Old rivalries getting back together. It makes sense. Heartland. All right, you've bumped up Boise State. They're a red dot because they were never in the Big 8. Colorado, Iowa State, Kansas, Kansas State, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State were. Perfect. Midwest, that's 9 of the old 10 Big 10 teams. The Southeast Conference, 9 of the old 10 SEC teams. The Atlantic Division, the Atlantic Conference, if you will. All of those teams except UCF were in the ACC at one time or another. Clemson, Florida State, Maryland, Miami, North Carolina, NC State, South Carolina, Virginia. Northeast, except for Penn State, those were all old Big East teams. The academic conference. This is what makes a change. And yes, they would get an automatic bid into the playoff. Some of these teams were decently good. Georgia Tech won one 30 years ago, a national championship. But Boston College, Cal, Duke, Georgia Tech, Northwestern, SMU, Stanford, Vandy, and Wake Forest, they're their own thing. And their reward is they get in the playoff. The kick in the pants is you got to do a little bit more traveling. But that's the way we're breaking it down. Notre Dame remains an independent, and they have to play 10 of those other teams in there. Makes sense. For basketball, for softball, you tell me that's not better? That's the old school way, except you're making more money because it's simplified. Take a look forward. Here's what a playoff would look like. You just seed it. There's SMU. They got in because they were the academic conference champion. They play at Georgia, number 1. You see that anybody in yellow, it has there as a conference champion. The other teams are at large, but it's just a regular playoff breakdown. Looks pretty good. Makes a lot of sense. the key is whether you like that conference breakdown or not, you could take that. That's what DeLoss Dodds was talking about. That's what Chip Kelly was talking about. You can go back to the future, if you will. You could get one group who shared all the money, who negotiates all the money. They all make the same. And that's why it won't happen.
That's what I was going to say.
That's why it won't happen, because yes, it would be more money for Ohio State and Southern Cal and Tennessee.
Exactly.
But Ohio State and Southern Cal and Tennessee wouldn't want San Diego State, SMU, and Wake Forest making as much money as they make.
Florida State wouldn't like it.
Neither Florida State wouldn't like it. That's the problem. So would that be better, though, for fans and athletes?
Oh, of course.
Do you disagree?
Yes.
I mean, it's okay to say that's a bad plan.
Well, it's a
Conferences
plan.
is what I'm talking about.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
We all know it's not going to happen,
No,
right?
no.
But I think that's better than where we are right now. I like the idea of having it regionalized. You've got enough really good teams in each of those conferences, with the exception of maybe the Academica. But they're
And
so
even they've had their
well,
ups and downs in good conferences.
they're so smart they'll figure out a way to fly from coast to coast a lot faster
Yeah,
than
there you
everybody
go.
else.
There you go.
So.
I think it's, there are a lot of good things about it. I think the one problem is we go back to what probably caused the SEC to start thinking about expanding to begin with. The Southeast looks better than all the other regions. You've got a really good Southeast region with those 9 teams, like 6 of them have national title contenders. So that's the hard part. Yeah. You still have power conferences and others that look really easy, so they wouldn't like the inequity of that. But otherwise, I think there's a lot of things to like about it.
But a computer ranks the teams and they get a bunch of bids.
But they lose games, and that hurts your computer ranking.
Well,
John, I think it's perfect.
There's no fix, but I think that's a hell of a lot better. I think
Of course
fans
it
would
is,
prefer
yeah.
that to what you've got now with the conferences, and that's what DeLoss Dodds and Chip Kelly were talking about. That kind of a look, and I think it makes sense.
Go
All
make
right,
more money in the
when
playoffs.
When we come back, we're going to take a look at your poll answers. We've got the results of the poll. Which coach do you dislike the most? We'll discuss that. Who finished second, third, fourth? Going back at the Sports Source.